As someone who has aspirations to become a high school athletic director, it's vitally important that I establish a professional development plan to help achieve this goal. My professional development plan consists of the following parts: my vision for a high school athletic department, a 3-year personal development plan, a 1-year staff development plan, a 1-year student athlete development plan, and my review of what effective leadership looks like. First, we're going to take a look at my vision for a high school athletic department. There are 5 key qualities that I think lead to a successful athletic department. I think these qualities are diversity, inclusivity, passion, a collaborative team, and a group that has value. For me, diversity means different backgrounds, different upbringings, different work experience, everyone bringing creativity and working together. Inclusivity means everyone is important and feels comfortable and valued. I want staff that are passionate about their work and about their student athletes and the impact that they have. I want everyone to feel confident and be able to bring their ideas to the table. And I want everyone, and whether they're a staff member or student athlete, to know that they're a valued member of the community and that what they bring to the table is important to the overall success of the team. My vision also really hinges on the fact that athletics is an extension of the classroom. This is the crux of everything. This is the most important thing. I don't think that athletics should act as its own entity outside of the school. I think it should be collaborative. I also want a department and staff that's going to be proactive and adaptable. In these times, things are changing all the time, so we have to be ready for that. We have to be able to overcome challenges and obstacles. There's just a few listed here. We've seen huge changes in NIL, right? It doesn't affect student athletes necessarily yet, but how can we be proactive? How can we prepare, high-level athletes that are potentially going to face that at the college level? I think we have that responsibility as a high school athletics department. My vision statement is listed here. Again, it hinges on diversity, inclusivity, and a cohesive, collaborative team effort that focuses on both academic and athletic excellence. This quote here really kind of sums up everything that I think is important and in a high school athletic department. When you create a climate of trust, you create an environment that allows people to freely contribute and innovate. You nurture an open exchange of ideas and truthful discussion of issues. You motivate people to go beyond compliance and inspire them to reach for the best in themselves. So now that we've discussed my vision, we're going to take a look at my 3-year personal development plan for myself. Year 1, kind of finishing up school, obtaining certifications, kind of prepping myself for the position of an assistant athletic director. I'd also like to obtain teaching certification, as many positions at the high school level require this. Year 2 is really focused on expanding my skills once I hopefully have a position as an assistant athletic director, expanding my network of mentors, and just maintaining certifications. Year 3, again, just furthering my skill set as an assistant high school athletics director, assessing any areas or skills I might be lacking and working on developing those skills, and then looking for opportunities to kind of advance into a head athletic director position. I think it's super important, no matter what position you're in, that you're always wanting to learn and looking for those resources and those opportunities to grow your skills. Here I've listed a couple of books and materials that I would rely on in developing the skills that I think are important in the role of an athletic director. I've also listed some courses and conferences You'll note there that I have podcasts on there as well. That's something that I rely on as well in my education. So that's my own kind of development plan. As an athletic director, though, I'd also want to help my staff to develop and learn. And so part of that is going to be sharing my vision and mission statement with them. You can see those listed here. In sharing my mission and vision with my staff, it's not just going to be me saying, here's what it is and follow it or get out of here. It's going to be about coming to a consensus on what values we share. And once I share that mission and that vision with them, I've got to make sure that I'm modeling the way. I've got to connect my words with my actions. I've got to understand and appreciate the values of my constituents and find a way to affirm those shared values. And finally, I've got to hold others accountable to those shared values and standards. You can see in this quote here, kind of a reflection of what I've been talking about. It's vitally important that leaders and constituents arrive at a consensus on shared values, because once they are articulated, those values become a pledge to employees, customers, clients, business partners, and their constituents. We're also now going to take a look at creating staff unity. We need to ensure that the values are not imposed on the staff. Rather, we look at shared values that come from the result of listening, appreciating, building consensus, and resolving conflicts. I think it's also important to ensure that team members know that their work matters. It's also important to foster a climate of trust and facilitate relationships. As the leader, I have to be the first one to trust and kind of set the tone that this is a safe space for people to share their ideas. And I have to share the knowledge and the information. I have to let them know, what's going on, why decisions are being made, and so that they feel that they're a part of things. Like I talked about, learning is super important no matter what position that you're in. And so I want to provide opportunities for coaches and staff members to improve their knowledge and their skills by allowing them and providing the financial support so that they can take coaching courses, get those certifications. I would also assign mentors to new coaches and staff members. And then me, myself, provide support and education to the coaches and the staff members. I like the idea of informal weekly meetings, whether it's grabbing a coffee or meeting up after practice and just kind of, hey, how are things going? I think that's important because, one thing that the professor talked about, Professor Ruiz, was that you must be willing to give people time and take whatever they're saying or bring to you as important. You've got to show them respect. And a huge part of that is just giving them the time, meeting with them, taking the time to get out of your office and go meet them where they're at. I also think evaluations from student athletes are important. They're the ones there on a daily basis working with the coaches, and it's important to give them a voice. I had also use a coach's code of conduct that kind of formally lays out those standards of what's expected of each coach and each staff member. The important thing is, again, holding them accountable. Once we establish these are the standards, we've got to stay true to them and not, this is something we sign and then we forget about the rest of the year. So obviously staff development is huge, but so is student athlete development. That's why we're there, right? Anyone working in high school athletics should be there to help the student athletes develop. So as you can see here, there are 4 qualities that I think are really important. Integrity, excellence, inclusion, and selflessness. And these are the values that I would want my coaches to model and teach to our student athletes. I'd also want to provide educational and training opportunities on leadership for the student athletes. You see student athlete advisory committees at the college level. I haven't personally seen it at the high school level yet, but I'm sure there's other organizations, other high schools doing that. But again, I think it's important to give the student athletes a voice in their programs. There's also outside opportunities for leadership education, such as the National Leadership Summit from the NFHS. I also think, obviously, academics is why they're in school. So that's the most important thing. It's the top priority. So we need to be, as a staff, proactive about that. We've got to work with coaches and faculty to ensure that they're working as a team to help the student athletes succeed, and make sure athletic schedules have a minimal interference with academic schedules. Another big thing would be setting a student athlete code of conduct that's going to include academic standards along with standards for the field, out on the playing field in athletics. And so again, this is something like the coach's code of conduct. You establish the standards and then you make sure that people are following through and that you're holding people accountable. So finally, we're going to go ahead and look at effective leadership and what it entails. Kind of touched on a lot of that throughout this presentation, but my definition of transformative leadership is a process whereby the leader is able to move a group of people in a direction that is in the long-term best interest of the group, which is accomplished through a shared vision in which all members of the group are part of the transformation. This type of leadership, it's going to bring out the best in everyone, and it leads to the most meaningful success. This type of leadership empowers others and helps them to become leaders themselves.